Díobh Acáda Gael as Fáilteachtaí Sportsline on Scariff Bay Community Radio. Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome once again to Sportsline show here on Scariff Bay Community Radio in association with their credit union. And on today's show, I'm joined as always by co-presenter Pat McNamara, and we have a special guest in studio with us today. He's from Bodyke. It's Eric McNamara, who is a coaching, personal development and mindfulness coach, and he's going to tell us his story in a few moments. First of all, Pat, we had major hurling weekend last weekend. This weekend is a major Camogie weekend, and we've the senior Camogie semi-finals and the intermediate championship Camogie semi-finals. You might kind of go through there. First of all, I suppose we better start with the local team, the reigning Munster Club champions, Scariff coming up in their old foes, Aina Kilnamona. So, what way do you see this one going, Pat?
Yeah, it's going to be a feast to Camogie this weekend, obviously. Thankfully for that as well, looking forward to a big time. Great rivalry between Scariff and Aina Kilnamona and over the last 6 or 7 years, I suppose. Aina Kilnamona, the kingpins for many years. Scariff and I suppose True Clonard have come up into the pecking order, and I suppose you could say Scariff have overtaken Aina Kilnamona, and they've won 2 Munsters, which is a massive achievement. But Aina Kilnamona, I suppose, will be waiting for this one for a long, long time. But I've been very, very impressed by Scariff we know now at this stage all the experienced players, what they're bringing to the table. I mean, if you take Mairead Scanlon, if you take Amy Barrett, Ciara Doyle, Rowan Ciara, and a number of others. But it's the younger players particularly who have taken to this challenge unbelievably well. And those young players, to my mind, are the best young players in the county, no question. And they seem to be totally comfortable playing senior Camogie. They've got very strong. Their touch is great. They play very clever hurling. They've won another minor obviously as well. So their minor performance in that final was absolutely top drawer. I think it was one of the best. I don't think I've seen minor Camogie played like that before in my lifetime. Camogie I have watched, the standard was exceptional when they hammered through Clonard in that minor final. So those 4 or 5 players, plus the experienced ones, mean that I think Scariff are in a really good place. Aina Kilnamona, as we know, great experience, savagely talented county players there at various levels over the years as well. So it's going to be a massive struggle, and I think it's going to be a marvellous game. But I can't see this Scariff team beaten if the weather is reasonably well and the conditions are reasonably good and pitches are still fairly dry, despite the recent rains. They had a great chance to keep dry over the summer there with the lack of rain. So it's going to take a while for pitches to cut up, and I think Scariff will take this one. I just think that all over the field there doesn't seem to be a weak link, and when you look at the bench, there's always 3 or 4 players able to go in to make a difference also. So I'll be tipping Scariff there, but a little bit of confidence. And
then turn on the second one through Clondara and Kilmaley. And you said off air there, when we saw Kilmaley the first evening against Scariff it's hard to believe, Pat, that they're in a Camogie semi-final, and they were there a couple of years ago, and only for a couple of poor decisions, and we shouldn't be berating referees, but on the same day a couple of poor decisions, and they were in a county final.
Absolutely. And I cannot, as you correctly said there, I mean, it's 6 or 7 weeks ago, maybe 8, we were down a beautiful, beautiful summer's evening down in Clooney. We saw them playing Scariff in the opener, I don't know how many weeks ago that is. And Kilmaley, first of all, they seem to be under strength, but secondly, they seem to have no spirit, no heart, no drive. They were just going through the motions.
And the team speech was motivational as well.
It was, we were close enough to it. But obviously they've got their act together since, and they've had a good run. And they have some very, very good players up there. And I mean, we know what they did last year, so they can be highly competitive. But I think it's true, Clonard, Leo, not unlike Scariff I think they're at a different level also. And I think, again, we know from last year's county final and replay how good they are. Super spread of obviously inter-county experience as well, without naming the same old individuals all the time. But I mean, they have some super players, and Sinead Hogg and the Emer Kelly and
they've Roisin Begley back this year as well.
Roisin Begley, Michelle Caulfield, all of those, a really, really lot of talent there. And I expect True Clonard definitely should beat Kilmaley, as maybe Kilmaley have completely transformed since the last day we saw them, and they must have to some extent, but I don't think they'll transform enough to beat this True Clonard team. So I'm predicting a Scariff True Clonard final again in a couple of weeks' time.
Pat, one side note, Pat, both semi-finals are on in Father McNamara Park, right? This is one that I can't get my head around. And then the intermediate semi-finals are outside in even better pitches, better surfaces. It just, the mind boggles.
I suppose it's that they want their flagship games to be in their own pet pitch, I suppose.
Which is fair enough.
It's a great facility in terms of, look at the pitch itself is decent enough, fabulous facilities, the pavilion and meeting rooms and dressing rooms are spotless. It's all fenced off now as well, and there's, enough car parking there. Other than that, for senior games, I don't think of that importance. People will be parking outside it. Look, it's a fabulous facility. It's the envy of a number of counties that are strong in Camogie. But having said that, I suppose, isn't there a case to be made for bringing those senior semi-finals to a real, I suppose, a stadium with a perfect, or let's say a venue with a really, really top class pitch and maybe more parking facilities and all that kind of thing, and maybe a covered stand as well. But look, far be it from us to criticise the Camogie authorities. They have such a great job done in promoting Camogie and Clare and getting this venue off the ground. So look at, we'll go with them and say that they've made a wise decision.
We get away from the administration again, Pat. Go to the intermediate semi-finals there and beaten finalists last year, Whitegate, coming up again, Clarecastle-Ballyway. This is going to be a sticky one, Pat.
And well, it could be. Now, the only teams I've seen in intermediate Camogie this year played each other a couple of weeks back, Whitegate versus Tulla, so I'll be able to. I obviously familiar with Whitegate and a bit familiar with Tulla. I haven't seen Clarecastle-Ballyway this year or Rogue, but they're always knocking on the door in the intermediate level, and both are competitive sides with plenty of numbers, and I'm sure they'll bring out all the stops for the semi-final. Whitegate very unlucky last year's final, and this year they looked like a team on a mission to me. That evening that they played Tulla there a couple of weeks back in the intermediate, I thought they were highly impressive. Hardly a weak link again. I mean, there's so many top players there, for the evergreen Trina Kelly and Lauren Solon in goals, the Hickeys up front. They have a lot going for them, and I just was very, very impressed with them. And
Susan Fahey as well, of course.
Susan Fahey, of course, outstanding on the evening. Yeah, they could keep naming players. Susan Fahey was outstanding on the evening, and so they have great score. They have scored in powerly, and I think at intermediate level, to have 3 or 4 scoring forwards is probably exceptional. I mean regularly scoring forwards from play. So maybe the firing power up front will tip the scales in Whitegate's favour. I know Clarecastle-Ballyway won't go down under a fight, and I mean they have Dylan Murphy, who is the brilliant goal. What a goalkeeper she's been for Clare all this last year or two, and I mean wherever they play her,
they should be outfield
should be playing. I think she played always out in the forwards before. If she's half as good out the field for Ballyway or Clarecastle-Ballyway as she has been in goals for Clare, she will take a lot of stopping on her own. But I think overall, Whitegate, based on last year's experience and the determination I saw and the quality of the last day, I think they're good enough to win the semi-final.
And then looking at Tulla, Pat, could we make it an East? Would it be an East Air final, do you think?
Well, I suppose maybe our hearts are rolling our head here, but I was impressed enough with Tulla that last day. They were missing Breeding Dinan, but she told us when we interviewed her that she was on the way back. She was hoping to be back very shortly. I'm assuming she's going to line out. And I mean, she's a serious forward, and she's a strong girl, and she's a busy player, and she takes marking. Sinead Collins was very, very good the last day. Young Aoife Dooley, Jennifer Nicholas, Aoife Breeding's sister at centre back. Ava McInerney, if she comes in, she was injured the last day. I think she's a lovely young player as well. And again, not having seen Rogue, we know they should have a very, very competitive side, but yet they've been around that last few years and haven't done a whole lot, barring just being competitive enough. So I can go to let the heart rule the head and say, yes, we'll have an East Clare team, get another East Clare team in the final Tulla. But again, now that's been familiar with them, not familiar with Rogue, and maybe they're a bit more experienced at this level than some of the younger Tulla players. But Tulla, I thought, were put it up to Whitegate for as long as possible and as much as possible. They just didn't have the answer to what I think is an outstanding Whitegate team. And if you had to ask me who will win it out, I would be tipping Whitegate anyway. I think they're a step ahead of everybody. Yeah,
it'd be great to see a Whitegate Tulla final. And look, we wish all the players and all involved very best luck this weekend. And Pat, thank you very, very much for that.